The FNAF series has some crazy tech, far beyond anything that should have been possible when the game takes place. However, the unrealistic nature has never stopped us from being in awe of these technological advancements. While the doors may not work properly, those goddamn doors, or we may not know the complete timeline, but we can still look at their tech and see what would be horrible to have in our world. And that's what we're exploring today. Let's do it. And 10 mini arenas. Why are the mini arenas so damn creepy? Like, they're not scary per se, but they literally tear Ballora to pieces, so that's something, at least. Like, the mini arenas are basically the robotic version of those kids, like, in your neighborhood that are always screaming or causing trouble at all hours of the day. And like, you know, they go to a nearby school so that you literally always have to deal with them no matter what. Or they run down the street when you knock on their door to see their older brother, and then their family is so damn lazy that you have to take off after him running down the street and after him because his family's not going to do anything, even though it's literally a toddler running down the street in nothing but a diaper at 11 in the morning. And then you catch him in front of your other friend's house, and then you end up having that kid pull your hair, kicking and punching you all the way back to his house. At least he wasn't screaming, because then you might have gotten arrested. Then they don't even thank you. Did I just say all that out loud? Okay, well, my old neighbors were trash. Okay, that's a story for another day, but that's what the mini arenas remind me of, except they can kill me or stuff themselves into my body while I sleep in order to escape their underground storage facility. And I don't think that kid was gonna do that. In at 9, Circus Baby. Let's move on to one of the deadliest animatronics in the game. Baby has a on-screen death count of 2. The first being William's daughter Elizabeth, and then the other being Henry as we see in FNAF World. But it's not just the ability to kill that's crazy, it's the incredibly advanced technology present inside this animatronic that's impressive. The ability to contain a whole child-grabbing claw, and then also a containment chamber for said child is pretty damn impressive, but also the ability to use pins on her body to change her appearance is also pretty nuts. Not to mention all of her other features like ice cream dispensing and balloons inflating at her fingertips. But all of this again is overshadowed by the absolute carnage Baby has the ability to wreak. Dare I say, let there be carnage. And honestly, that's probably just the tip of the iceberg for the animatronic, not even including the Fazbear Frights versions. And I know that this isn't a Minecraft video, but did you know that only 14% of people who watch these videos are actually subscribed? You could be watching our videos all the time and not actually know that you're not subscribed. So, if you do like these kinds of videos, hit the subscribe button. It's free, it helps us out a whole lot, and you can always unsubscribe if you want to, okay? It's not like a marriage, okay? We don't get half your stuff if you choose to unsubscribe. Okay, now, on with the video. And it ate the scooper. Now, I know you may be mad and think that this is like a stupid point, but like, hear me out, okay? The scooper may seem like a weird but kinda normal thing, at least by FNAF standards at first, but with the blueprint revealing how this actually works, this thing is an incredible piece of technology. It can inject whatever it ends up scooping with Remnant, a molten metal possessed by souls, that is capable of keeping a person alive after removing their insides, as we see with Michael. Replacing it, because, you know, he gets his innards replaced with innards, and then, like, you know, is able to walk around, and then after those robotic parts leave his body, he can still just chill, in essence, making him just a walking case of flesh. Unless it didn't actually remove anything and instead just opened him up and then had the animatronics go around his bones, but that would still require some serious juice to keep alive, and that's pretty damn impressive. But also horrifying, because while he may look more like he's just bruising, if the purple on Michael's skin is actually decay like some suggest, that Remnant injector is actually able to animate a dead corpse, in essence creating zombies, which would then start a zombie apocalypse, and that's been done to death, no pun intended, so you should all understand how bad of an idea that is, okay? Zombie apocalypses generally aren't good, especially animatronic fueled zombie apocalypses created by intense agony possessed metal that gets injected into someone's no-no square. And it's 7 Nightmare Animatronics. While not the epitome of horror, the Nightmare Animatronics are certainly not the nicest of fellows. Not only that, but they are in fact not real. They're supposed to be in your brain, which makes them even more terrifying if you ask me. Because not only do these like illusions cause horrific visions to anyone who knows about them, they also end up killing a coma patient. Crying Child, as we know, is in the hospital in FNAF 4, making this game just a nightmare. However, getting caught by one of these animatronics causes him so much stress that he actually dies, which is absolutely insane when you look at it like that. These are so scary to him that it gives him a legit heart attack, or just makes his heart stop working entirely, since we know that's what happens instead of brain death at the end of the game, thanks to the flatline at the end, which is Horrible and incredibly sad, but also terrifying. And at 6, the Twisted Ones. Well, the Twisted Ones do certainly seem to live up to their name. The Twisted Animatronics are these horribly disfigured creatures that get no love from their mother, unlike an ugly duckling. The thing is, these don't grow into swans. Instead, they use another bit of tech that I'll get into later to disguise themselves. They also dig deep into the ground and wait until the middle of the night to crawl out and then take kids who wander away from their mommies. This legit sounds like some urban legend that parents tell their kids to make sure they stay home or get home after dark. I mean, I don't really know what else to say about them. That's the way the news goes. Halfway through into number 5, Fetch. Fetch was introduced into Fazbear Frights books and is a robotic dog made by Fazbear Inc. that gets a little too loving. So much so that it will actually brutally murder the girl you ask to homecoming, even though her dad is a supervillain. Sorry, Peter, but at least you won't have to feel bad about sending your dad to prison. Either way, a robotic dog that will kill anything you love is absolutely terrifying and should be taken care of as soon as possible. Like, this is why you spay and neuter your animals, people. That's why The Price is Right would always say that. But in all seriousness, could you imagine if this thing was real? Like, if you randomly started getting texts from a robotic dog that followed you home, that instead of bringing you dead birds or squirrels, instead brings you the bloody arm of your crush. That sounds like something the Winchesters would end up fighting after it was manifested by some, like, 7-year-old. Oh, that would, yeah. It's like how they find a body in one of those crime shows, like Bones, and they're like, oh, this robotic dog just found this rotting arm and then put it in my bed. Like, that's like Palant levels of crazy, and if you know, you know. And at 4, Lonely Freddy. Lonely Freddy already in a way has a parallel in our world, kind of. Like that trope where someone becomes your friend and then becomes more like you and then tries taking over your life. I feel like that's a thing, but maybe I dreamt that ages ago and forgot about it, but I mean, it's possible, but also just plain old identity theft is another version of Freddy, okay? Identity theft isn't a joke, Jim. A Lonely Freddy was introduced in the Fazbear Frights books and is basically meant to explain what Psychic Friend Fredbear is, but a robot that steals your body and then traps your consciousness into its original robot body. What the ever-loving hell? Why is that so goddamn terrifying, especially in concept? But what if it was actually a thing? Well, it's easy to say that we would just try to avoid them, but we wouldn't know that they exist. We would just be lonely kids dreaming about having friends and someone who doesn't hurt you when all of a sudden a robot wants to be our friend. It would be vicious and definitely would have gotten me when I was a kid. Hell, it could get me now. Like, I legit wanted a robot friend because they wouldn't end up turning on me or something like that. And then here we go. Here's this. I just wanted someone to play games with. And if those people ended up not being people but instead robots, I would have been fine with it. That would have been fine with me. Except these would have taken over my body, so that would have kind of been a bummer. But that begs the question, when you get put inside the Lonely Freddy, would you then get the ability to take over another person's body, or would you just be trapped in there permanently? Either way, it's terrifying, but I want to know. Getting close to the end, and in number 3, human robots. This is something I'm sure people won't think is scary, okay? Some scary good, maybe, but hey, the fact that there are robots that are actually able to look like humans is terrifying. Like, that's such a scary thing. In the original FNAF novel trilogy, it's revealed that Charlotte, the main protagonist of the books, is in fact one in a series of 4 robots meant to allow her to grow up properly after being killed at an early age. But not only is she a robot, also apparently she's also baby. At least from what I remember reading about the books, Charlotte's robot was also able to look like a baby thanks to the pins on her body that I mentioned earlier. Yeah, that is the epitome of horror. Who in their right mind would think of a concept like that? And then, what if it was real? Like, we would all be goners. Like, imagine the fembots from Austin Powers. That's basically this. And then all the down bads would be trying to give it to them, and then they'd get themselves scooped. I'm surprised it didn't happen in the actual novels, since that one guy had his gears turning, if you know what I mean.
And if you do, can you please explain it to me, because I'm not even quite sure what I said there.
Penultimately, in at number 2, the SPRINGLOCKS. The spring lock mechanisms is probably the most intuitive thing that FNAF World's invented. The ability to move robotic parts out of the way enough for a human to fit inside is insane, and while it may be dangerous, we also drive over 100 kilometers per hour in huge metal death boxes, so can we really complain? Yes, we can. Because while yes, cars have their faults, they are nothing compared to the ability to be both animatronic and suit. And then, that's an incredible feat of technology. People keep saying that Springlocks actually exist in the comments, and I don't think that's true, okay? No one has ever given me a source, and it's not a thing, okay? Yet, these are also terrifying because of the same reasons in game. Someone can dress in it and pretend to be a robot, and then everything can clamp down on you in any second, as it has multiple times before. It can trap you, okay? It could, if it were real, crush you, and do everything that we learn about from the books and the games, okay? It would basically just make your life hell for fun, especially when it can be a robot, and the man who was once inside of it can smile knowing that you and all your friends can't fight off a huge hunk of metal. But also, I would never get into one of those things. Even if there hadn't been an incident, that seems like a final destination moment. I wouldn't do it, even if it's in my contract. If they tell me get in this or you're fired, I quit. God. Or actually, no, I let them fire me so I get a severance package. If they have one. And then I can sue them for wrongful termination. And finally, in number 1, the Illusion sound discs. I used to mention these a lot, at the very least, because these are astounding. If you didn't already know, in the original FNAF novel trilogy, it was revealed that the Twisted One's animatronics used discs that changed how others saw them, basically creating an illusionary appearance using sound emitted from that disc that messed with your brainwaves. However, the mere existence of these discs puts everything we know about the series into question. How do we know that anything is real? FNAF 1 has us hallucinate multiple different things like it's me, along with multiple news clippings and posters. What if that was all the discs? And if it was, what if other things were changed by the discs as well? What does the pizzeria really look like? Do the animatronics have different appearances than what we actually see? Are they more rotten? And given that they were leaking mucus and blood beforehand, I feel like they should have been decommissioned. But if this technology existed, I would have trust issues even more so than I do now. Honestly, this might exist, and we just don't know about it. Disney is probably using it because they're the evil corporation of the world, right? That's a thing. Is that we're never getting sponsored by Disney, but that's fine. That's all the time we have for today, friends. Thank you all so much for watching. I have been in Sean Connor Monroe, and I'll see you in another video. I'm not sorry, Disney.